Okay, welcome everybody. So this is the Are You Being You Entity Release Workshop. And today I'm going to be talking about the effects that entities can have on you, the effect they can have if they're living in your house, if they're attached to your animal, lots of different reasons, lots of different ways they can affect you. So when I say entity, I'm talking about a spirit. Some people call them ghosts, spirits. It's basically a being without a body. Okay. So there are entities everywhere. They're in the supermarkets, they're in doctors' surgeries, hospitals, dentists, and they often hang around in bars, clubs, where in places where there's a lot of energy. So say, for example, there's a spirit that passed over and really loved to drink alcohol, and this spirit didn't pass over, then it might go and hang out in a bar with somebody that likes to drink alcohol, and it can attach to that person's body and have the effects of drinking alcohol by being connected to that body, even though that spirit's not alive anymore. So ideally, each of us would have one entity in our body, and that entity is us, our soul, okay? If you're not grounded in your body, taking up space and willing to be taking responsibility for your own life, then there becomes kind of space created in your body. So when I say grounded, I mean like in your body, in the present moment, showing up here for what's happening in the present. If you're not grounded, then it's almost like you've got a little vacancy sign on your head, like a motel, vacancies, and other spirits can come and attach to your body in that space in your body. And this is known as an entity attachment. So when the entity is attached to you, they can start to give you their feelings, they can start to give you their bodily pains, and they can also start to give you their habits. So I've had experiences before. I haven't drunk alcohol for probably 12 years now. And then I've had experiences sometimes where I'm like, oh God, I really need a drink. And then I'm like, what? I don't drink. And it's like an entity's just come in and is giving me the sensation, I want a drink. So then it makes me think I want a drink. So because I know myself very well and I know I don't crave alcohol, then straight away I can recognize, oh, I've got an entity attachment and I can release it. It can also affect you emotionally as well. So I know I've had days where I've woke up with certain emotions that I know are not mine because it's just not something I identify with believing or feeling. And so I'll clear that entity attachment. But if you're not aware of entity attachments or even that entities exist, you can be walking around with multiple entities in your body and they can all be giving you different messages and different feelings. So it's a little bit like having a car and 5 people trying to drive it all at once if you've got 5 entities in your body. So one of them's going, I want to go this way. And the other one's like, no, I want to go this way. And so you're being pulled in all different directions. And then one of them's saying, I want to eat chicken for dinner. And the other one wants pasta. And the other one doesn't want to eat. And so it's almost like you start feeling really indecisive and you start experiencing habits that aren't yours. You might also find yourself saying, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like myself. And it's maybe because in that moment you weren't acting like yourself. So, for example, if you went out and decided to get wasted on alcohol, so you decided to get out of your mind, you were literally coming out of your body and creating a vacancy, then other entities go, great, there's a vacancy in there. And then they jump in your body and then they make the decisions. During that night while you're drunk, they make the decisions of what you're doing. So then you wake up in the morning and think, wow, I don't feel like I acted like myself last night. Well, you probably weren't being yourself. Something else was probably being you because you weren't in your body. The same thing can happen with operations. When you go to the hospital and you have surgery and you have a general anesthetic, you leave the body and other entities can come in and take over your body. So I saw a woman, a client, and she told me that she'd been having physical problems in her body for 20 years. She said, I just can't shift these physical problems. She said, I've tried all these different things. The doctors don't know what's wrong with me. I've tried all these holistic therapies. And when I tuned into her body, I said, how many entities are in this body? She had 20 entities. And I said, and she said, I've been like this for 20 years. And I said, what happened 20 years ago? And she said, I had a series of hospital surgeries. And so what happened is when she wasn't in her body, all these other entities hopped in and then they didn't leave. So she's then living with these entities. Now, the thing is, when those entities are in your body, they're carrying the energy of their life. So if they were very angry, then they're going to start making you feel angry. If they had a physical pain or disease, that energy also comes into your body. So you can then start to manifest the physical problem that they had, which is crazy, really, if you think about it. So this woman was experiencing a lot of physical problems. I cleared the 20 entities from her body so that she was just back to the one, and the physical problems disappeared because they weren't hers. It was almost like the entities were infusing her cellular memory. So her body started reacting to the entities that were in her body, and they weren't reacting to her soul. So when we're clearing the entities, we're asking the entities to leave, but then we're asking the body to recorrect itself as well. So anything that doesn't belong to me, I'm now asking to release, and I'm asking the cells of my body to respond to my soul, not these other entities. So the best way to not get entity attachments is to be grounded. So I practice grounding practices every day, be grounded, and be willing to take responsibility for your life. So if you're the kind of person who's like, I don't want to be here, I wish I was dead, it's too hard, I wish somebody else would do it, then you are kind of leaving your body and you are giving another entity permission to come in. So you have to be willing to take up space in your body, in your life. Yes, I'm showing up for myself. You're taking up space in this body, so there is no space for the other entities. I do want to say there's no judgment on if you've got more than one entity in your body, because we all get entities attachments at different times, especially if you're feeling low or something happens in your life that affects your energy. Okay, so we're all energy beings, and we have an aura that radiates out around our body, and that energy, we have an energy force field around us that protects us. Now, different things can weaken that energy around our body, that aura. Alcohol does create weakness in the body, in the energy field, possibly in the body as well. Smoking, taking drugs, pharmaceutical medicines, these all weaken the energy field. So then these entities can get attached. So the best way to not get entity attachments is to really take care of yourself, practice grounding, and yeah, take care of yourself physically as well.